welcome to Women at the Frontline. On this program, we want to appreciate your viewership and support on this particular program. And on this program, we bring to you women that identify problems in society and choose to do something about them and impact society, change our society, and transform lives in various ways. And today I have a very special and unique guest from Burundi living here in Uganda. So we are talking about the East African women leaders, and I'm delighted to be hosting Chantal Mutamuriza. I hope I've got the name.
Mutamuriza.
Mutamuriza Chantal.
Don't make her cry. That's the meaning of Mutamuriza.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is the lady we are having here today, and she's going to walk us through her life of being a human rights defender, particularly working with refugees living here in Uganda. And I would like to welcome her to this program. My sister, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Monica.
My East African sister.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I'm delighted to be here.
It's an honor to have you here. And of course, also to hear from another person from this Great Lakes region, the East African region that we talk about. It's always a pleasure to hear and
sure.
you know, share our common issues and challenges, but particularly leadership that we're exhibiting in the region. So you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. I'm here today just to have a chat with you and get enriched and encouraged. This month you have been showcased as the Human Rights Defender of the Month. I believe in Uganda here, but I could also say in the East African region. So that's exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. But just a small correction, it's not this month.
Oh, it's not this month?
No. It's been a few months ago.
A few months ago.
Yeah.
But you're on top of the chart in terms of human rights defenders.
I don't know.
That's
why
why
we say I'm on top of the chart. I'm doing my best.
You're doing your best, of course, and that's what we want to capture.
Yes,
what we are doing, each one of us as women, as leaders, how we can do more actually to transform society. So we will start from there and just to have a walk through your journey and life. Maybe we start from there because it's a new audience that you are having. They may not know you and where you're coming from, and of course your early life. Yeah, we could start from there.
My early life?
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I was born and grew up in Burundi. So I was schooled in Burundi. Primary, secondary, and university. I studied law in Burundi, the University of Burundi. Then later on, I got specialized in master's degree somewhere in Europe.
In human rights.
In human rights.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Wow. So what are some of the memories you have about Burundi? Because now you are a global citizen, I could say.
I am. I haven't lived in Burundi since 15 years now.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh. What do you miss about Burundi? Or is there nothing you
Oh
miss
my
about?
God. I miss so many things about Burundi.
Yes.
I miss the lake.
The lake?
Oh my God.
Which?
Tanganyika Lake.
Tanganyika. I was going to say Lake Victoria.
No. Tanganyika Lake, the beach. I miss the fish. Mukeke.
You eat a lot of fish there as well.
Mukeke is the best fish in the whole world.
Wow. Yes. Not tilapia.
Not tilapia. I love tilapia.
Nile perch.
But mukeke is the best. And it's only found in Lake Tanganyika.
Only found in Lake Tanganyika.
And I miss the tiny city of Bujumbura. Where you can move, like in 5 minutes, I can tell you, Monica, we have an appointment. Okay, I'm on my way and I'm still in the house, and in 5 minutes
you are
here.
right there.
But here it took me almost 1 hour and a half to reach this place.
From where did you come from?
Yeah.
Another part of town.
Yeah, exactly.
Kampala's jam is crazy.
Kampala is huge.
It's terrible.
So I miss that, that cozy, small city
setting.
Yeah, small setting. Though I also enjoy being in Kampala where you have many choices, but also there's a beauty in small things.
It is, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right. You're welcome. Of course, now you are more of a Ugandan now, over 15 years away from Burundi. But we could say now with the East African, federation about to happen. I don't know how close. So Burundi, Bujumbura will be another of those great cities, within the bigger, wider community of the East Africa. So, so how was it like, of course, growing up, your early life? I mean, some of the precious moments that you remember about your family, about the community, anything, precious moments that made you who you are right now.
Okay, precious moments. I don't know if I should say unfortunately, but what made me who I am is not really very good memories.
Yeah,
but it's challenges.
It's challenges. Sometimes it's those challenges that make us.
Challenges that made me who I am.
Oh yeah.
I grew up without my parents. I had a very difficult childhood. Yeah,
right.
Very difficult childhood. I went through a lot.
Yeah.
And but I think one of the best thing I got though is education. Education. That's why I fight for education for less privileged children, because I
went through the same.
I went through the same, and I knew since my early age, I think as young as 5, 6 or 9, that my way through life would be education.
And indeed you made it.
And indeed I made it.
Wow. Yes. And you had to be true to your calling in life and say, I have to give back to the other less privileged people and ensure they get that kind of education.
And also say that I want them to look at me and know that no matter what they go through, they can make it.
They can make it.
Yeah.
That's a great story you have. Powerful. Yeah. Of course, we wouldn't have known that if we didn't engage in this conversation with you. And those are the stories which inspire other people. And I'm sure that there could be someone who will come across this video and, feel connected with your story and say, yes, she went through that, but I am able also to probably make my life better. If she was able to do it, then I can also be able to do it.
Yeah, all right. I can tell you a story. One of the, maybe we come back to that, what I do. One of the girls that I support called me recently to tell me how difficult it is. She's in a boarding school.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, she called me. Tell me how it's hard at home, that she doesn't feel loved and that she's being mistreated, and she told me a lot. And then I was like, oh my God. I told her, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. Just focus on your studies. Your only way out of this is education.
Yeah.
If you get a degree, you will get a job. We'll be able to do whatever you want in life.
That you
have your own apartment. You have your own. I say, look at me. Do you think I was? And then I told her my story in short, and she was like, wow. It was like, she was like illuminated.
Wow.
To know that I say, yeah, you look at me, I'm amazing, but I went through the same.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Yes. Yeah. Because sometimes we tend to focus on the B's around and the challenges, the problems, and fail to focus on what is coming. Yeah. Okay, I would like just to tap on your early growing, because some of the things we go through in life, as we noted, is what really makes us and also brings out the best in us. Challenges, good or bad, whatever it is, they build us, those moments. And yours was a difficult early childhood. You did not choose to cry over it, but used it to make your life better. And now you're making the lives of other people better. And I just wanted to capture that early life. Okay, at what point did you leave Burundi to what was the that moment, that point of change?
I left Burundi actually for work opportunity.
Out of the country.
Out of the country. I was offered a job in Switzerland.
Ooh.
Yes.
Just like that.
Just like that. Well, not just like that.
Yes.
I think what helped me to get that job is my activism.
At home back then?
At home.
Okay.
when I finished school studies, when I finished university, I did not follow the usual path. I founded my first NGO.
Ooh, right from
school.
Great.
And then I started, where other people and, and so which got me a lot of exposure. I never got a full-time job in Burundi, basically. I was working for my NGO.
Yes.
And, when you start an NGO with all the challenges, you need to find funding. You need to
build teams.
To volunteer, to build teams. So I would have few consultancies, but at the same time, I was growing in my professional life, especially in terms of human rights. And then I happened to go to Geneva for a human rights training. And then I came back. When I came back home, I had built a network already.
Oh, yeah.
So when an opportunity arose, they remembered me.
And contacted you.
They contacted me, which is also for me another beautiful story, because for a girl like me with the background I just told you about, who, when they told me, I was like, are you serious? I grew up in Burundi. I studied in Burundi. Do you think I can get a job in Geneva? They say, yes, why not? So, yeah.
Wow, yours is a special one. It's like a destiny, connected somewhere and waiting for you to walk in it.
Yeah.
Wow. So now you're moving to Switzerland. You're going to do, which kind of work did you end up doing there?
I worked for an NGO called the International Service for Human Rights, based in Geneva, which is a very respected NGO, which is why I was like, how can I get a chance to work there? So then, but before going to Geneva, I went to the Gambia for a very short time, to work for the African Commission for Human and People's Rights.
I was there. All right. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But that was like really my way to Geneva. Actually, it's also an interesting story, because when I applied for that job in Geneva, they wrote to me telling me that the job is not anymore available. Then I went to Gambia.
Wow.
And then when on my way to Gambia, they wrote to me again.
The job is still there.
The job is still there. I'm still interested. Wow. They said, yeah, just give me 2 days. And I did an interview. So I actually stayed in the Gambia just for the time of processing a work permit.
And came back.
And came back and went to Geneva.
Wow, that is so interesting. So this is a citizen who has come from Burundi, is gone to Switzerland, is in Geneva.
Yes.
Is Geneva
from Burundi to Gambia, then Gambia to Geneva.
To Geneva. Yes. And now in Uganda.
Now from Geneva on to Mali as well.
Mali.
And
then Uganda.
And then Uganda.
Wow, yes. Wow, that's a rich life and of experience as well, and exposure. And of course, now you are at Geneva. Well, what are some of the memories that you have working at that international level before we come to Uganda here?
Geneva is a beautiful city.
Of
Switzerland
course.
Is an amazing country.
Hear so.
It's a beautiful country.
Yeah.
And remember, I was coming from Burundi through Gambia and then Geneva. It's like day and night,
Wow.
Very organized, very
life
clean,
is cool.
Very well, not so cool though. Life is not so cool in Europe, but it's organized. Everything
is organized. It's systems working.
And my first memory in Geneva is I arrived in June 2007. And in August, there's the national celebration,
yes.
And then they have fireworks. And then when I had fireworks, I ran.
You had not heard of fireworks before?
No, because I was coming from Burundi, a country
yes,
which has been in war for more than 10 years.
Oh, so you thought there's a bullet somewhere?
Yeah, so I'm just, it's a memory that I kept because of, the trauma that we carry,
through,
we go through because of, I studied during war. My university years was during war, so that's basically what I knew. And then that's one, and then second, I remember like going home in Geneva, going home like at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., nicely walking, and I was like, oh my God, this is freedom now. Because these are things that I couldn't do back home. Yeah.
And now what is on my mind is that this leader was having the best of her life in Europe, but she chooses to come back to a dusty Kampala. I mean, for any young person, I think being in Europe would be like an ideal, dream come true, because it's an organized, part of, the world. And of course, you can live your dream. So why come back to Africa, particularly here?
Sincerely, I think I have a heart of people. I like to connect to my people. And in Geneva, I was working for a prestigious NGO organization,
right,
where you interact with people from all over the world,
all over,
with diplomats, the UN, because our work was mainly with the UN mechanisms.
Yes.
So I was, working with Palais des Nations, high places, meeting high people. But still, I felt like it wasn't really me. Though you enjoy it, it's nice, but I was like, it is more politics.
It is more politics.
It's more politics, and for me, I want to see a real change in people's lives. I'm not saying that you cannot change, because I was still working with human rights, but I felt like I need to be close to people.
Where change needs.
Actually, I stayed in that organization for 6 years, but after my 3rd year, I started looking for a job in Africa. And because
you were not satisfied in terms of engagement.
I felt like, no, I need to go back to Africa. And also, so I finally got a job in Mali, by the way, before coming here. I went to Mali
first
to work with the African Union. So then in 2015, I do not know if you are familiar with Burundian politics. There was a big crisis.
A coup? Is it a coup?
Not really a coup. It's a president who forced himself into a 3rd illegal mandate. The late Mutamuriza, who died in 2020. And then, so there was a big crisis, which forced more than 400,000 people to die,
to flee the country again.
And others, and many died as well. And also, which forced most human rights independent organizations to leave the country, and media. So while I was in Mali, I felt like I need to do something.
You need to do something about the situation back home.
So I decided to resign from my job.
Just like that?
Just like that, in 2016. I came to Uganda. So I needed to be close to
the people here.
Yeah. The refugees from Burundi who live here in Uganda.
Okay, before we get to understand that particular situation, I'm amazed. Looking at you, I'm like, she had the whole career in international work and human rights work, an admirable part of life where some, people would really admire, to say, let me be a part of that international human rights. It's sort of a clear path of life and income sources. But what sets you apart is the love for the people. Of course, many times we say leaders are set apart by that heart. If you're a leader, you have that love for people. You cannot be a leader without the love for the people. Absolutely. Because you desire to see change in people's lives. And so that is a plus for your life. And now you abandon a comfortable international jobs, career, and come to do this work in Uganda. Wonderful. You are now in Uganda.
Yeah.
And how did it all start? You have packed your luggage from Mali.
Exactly. I packed all my luggage.
Loaded onto the plane and
boarded on the plane
to Uganda,
Kampala.
Tell us.
Yeah.
Hey.
It was a process.
Yeah.
It's been a process. Like it took me not so long though, like maybe 3 to 4 months
to settle in.
To decide
yes.
that I wanted to come to Uganda.
Oh.
We're talking about 2016.
Recently.
2016. I moved in Uganda on the 3rd October 2016.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. So I took the decision, I think maybe I came here in April on my birthday, which was the 24th April.
What?
I came to Uganda. I say, let me go and feel. I came with a friend. Let me go and feel if this is a place
I could want to settle in.
Settle in. So I came here. Immediately, I engaged a lawyer. We created the NGO. I went back after starting the process of setting up the NGO. Then in August same year, I gave my resignation letter, and then October I came here.
Interesting life.
It's very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you started the
and
NGO.
I start all over.
So what is all over from zero?
From zero.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
And the experience of having to look for networks, having to look for money.
Very difficult.
Very difficult.
Very, very difficult. Until today, sometimes I feel like, did I really
make the right decision?
But then I say yes. If you was to do it again, I'll do it again.
You do it again.
Yes.
Because you're doing it for somebody.
Because I can see, if you see that at least one life is changed because of your effort.
Wow.
You feel happy. You feel satisfied. Yeah.
Wow. That's what sets you apart. And your story is very empowering. And now you are in Uganda here. You've decided to do work around refugees. Let's talk a little more about the refugee situation, perhaps in the country. I don't know, how many do we have? How many generally? And then, of course, the particular numbers of Burundi. And what focus did you decide to have in your interventions?
Okay. We're talking about 1.5 million refugees in
right
Uganda.
Now. I thought actually more than that. Maybe 2 million.
Maybe more. Not 2 million yet, but maybe more. Which makes it the 3rd country in the whole world that receives a lot of refugees.
The 3rd?
After Lebanon and Turkey.
You mean this small country Uganda is the 3rd in the world, hosting the highest number? And wow.
That's why I feel privileged to be living in a country which is so
egalitarian,
hospitable, hospitable. Sorry.
Wow.
Which hosts anyone. Yeah.
I'm proud to be a Ugandan.
I know. You should be.
Okay.
You should be.
Yeah, because we love people.
Yes.
I think we are a country, despite our problems, our challenges. Yes, we cry sometimes because of the bad roads, the dusty what, and so many issues. But we have so much that is so unique about us that we don't appreciate and love. But we are good people.
Yeah. For example, I don't know if there are other countries where when a refugee comes, they give them a
home.
A home. Well, not necessarily a home, but a land.
Land.
They give them a land,
to cultivate.
To cultivate, or if you want, we can build. And if you have the requirements, you can work. And so, but of course, even Uganda itself has its own challenges. Even Ugandans themselves do not have necessarily all they need. They do not necessarily have jobs, infrastructures. So refugees also have to go through all that, and even maybe it becomes more difficult for them.
But Chantal, what are we talking about in terms of the common countries that we are hosting here? Where are these people coming from?
I think
how many Burundians do we have?
Burundians, they are just a drop in the ocean. Remember, Burundi is also a small country, but we have about 50,000, which for me is a lot.
For Burundi.
Yeah, for Burundi.
And which other countries are many here?
I think the biggest number comes from Sudan.
South Sudan?
South Sudan.
Just here?
Just here, South Sudan, and then followed by Congolese. And then there are other nationalities.
The other day we saw an upsurge, again a very big number coming from the other side of Bundibujo, coming into the country from Congo. Of course, it's understandable. What is going on right now in Congo is immense. Yeah, and that big country which cannot have peace for its people for a long time. It's sad.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Okay, so 2 million people, largely from South Sudan, Congo. Where did the Pakistanis go? I remember there was a discussion that we are going to receive. Is it Pakistanis? Was it?
I don't know.
What was that group which was being ferried?
Afghanistan. Afghans.
Yes.
I think Afghans.
They are not here?
I really don't know. I do not want to engage on that, Monica.
Okay, all right. But also recently Rwanda has agreed to host as many, I don't know if those are refugees
from UK.
From the UK, but largely Africans, of course, who were seeking for, I think, better life.
Not necessarily Africans. I think it's refugees.
Refugees generally. Okay.
Generally.
All right. So I would like you to just draw for us, the viewership, the picture of a situation of a refugee. You know, if you have not been a refugee before, you will not understand what challenges refugees go through. How is it like? What is the life of a refugee?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that
to give you an example. It's an example I gave last week. I had a presentation online with in a Canadian conference. I gave them the symbol of a cup of coffee. A cup of coffee. In Nachiva refugee settlement, where the majority of Burundians are, and Congolese as well. They receive 13,000 Ugandan shillings a month.
13,000?
Yeah, 13,000 Ugandan shillings a month.
Wow.
And I was telling these people that this is the price of a cup of coffee in most European countries.
Just one cup?
Just one cup, because it's about $3.5 USD. Actually, even in Uganda, in some places like Cafe Free,
a
cup of coffee can be 13,000 Ugandan shillings.
Yes.
How do you expect someone to live on that? And then they have to feed the children. They have to get medical help. They have to get everything. Yeah, of course, it's by person. But even that's the life of a refugee now in a refugee camp.
In a refugee camp.
Yeah.
They don't have health services in those camps and education. I thought those are the basics they are provided for by the government, the host country.
The health service, what they told me, and I've seen in many reports, they say when they go to a health center, whatever problem you have, I'm talking about Nakivale because that's what I know. Whatever health issue you have, they give you a paracetamol.
Yes, Panadol.
Yes, that's what they get. Which means that if you have serious problems, you have to find a specialized hospital. And with that,
with the 13,000 per month, where do you get that specialized?
Yeah. Oh. And for me, I work with the most vulnerable people, especially women who went through sexual violence and who have a lot of health issues. It is hard. It's really difficult.
That is really bad.
Yeah. And in Nakivale, the other thing is there's only one secondary school. One secondary school.
For how many children?
Nakivale refugee settlement has 150,000 refugees.
150,000
refugees.
I wonder.
If you do the math, normally in refugee situations, women and children are about like 70%
of that number.
In general. So now you can expect that there are at least 50,000 children
who need
school. Maybe. I don't have the numbers.
And there's only one school for those children?
Secondary school. One secondary school.
And the primary school?
There are a few primary schools inside the camp, I think about 7. And which lack a lot of materials, teachers, and yeah. For example, the children that we support, we send them to boarding schools in Barara or around the Nakiva refugee settlement so that they can get a better education.
Wow! Yeah. For any person involved in humanitarian work or social work, that is like a pain in the heart to hear that people are going through that kind of thing. And life is hopeless for those kind of people.
Exactly. For me, I always say it's like you are in on health support. You know, you don't die,
but you are living.
You're living, and but you can't move on with that.
Wow, I think for every leader, for every person working in these areas, human rights, it's an important experience to go to such a place. I missed the chance to visit. I have not actually visited a refugee camp in my entire experience of work and life. And I just read and hear the stories. But recently I had interest to look out for the issues of sexual violence in those camps. And but I never somehow got to visit and to see physically what happens. So maybe now with you, Chantal, we'll be able to visit. And
sure, definitely. We will go to shoot a video there
and see
with refugee
the
women.
real situation, but also to project their voice further to the world.
Especially.
Because people may not know. We are living in this country, Uganda, where we are hosting. We just hear the reports by government ministers and people working there like yourselves, but you don't quite know what an experience of a refugee is like. And so I think it's important that people take interest and support where they can, of course. And I want to thank you for your work and your intervention. So in terms of understanding further what you're doing, so what is your focus? What are you doing with the refugees, the Burundian refugees in particular?
What I do, we support education for refugee children and
take them to schools, connect them to other schools,
pay
their bills,
pay school fees.
Hey!
So what we do, we have a program called No Child Left Behind. So we look for sponsors, then we match a sponsor with the child. Yes, so that's how we operate since the beginning. So that's what we do, and then we partner with Ugandan schools.
Wow!
So they go to Ugandan schools,
and
then they feel like other children, you know. And when they're in those uniforms, they don't feel like they're
refugees in a strange country.
And they get fed. They have
good health.
Good health. Wow. They sleep. Unfortunately, it comes with the cost. As you know, education in Uganda is very expensive. So basically, that's what we do, and we're planning in the coming years or months to start an online program in the camp.
For studying.
Yeah, for studying.
How?
Because I think we can now reach many children wider, and it will be cheaper.
It will be cheaper.
It will be cheaper, and also we reach many.
But that requires installing a lot of equipment. So how are you planning to do that?
We're planning to partner with other institutions. I prefer not to say more.
Yes.
I'll call you when it's
ready.
It's launching. When it's launching.
That's wonderful. Of course, the future is technology.
The future is technology. And also COVID showed us that while rich kids in the West, even in Uganda, continue to study, poor kids couldn't. They couldn't.
Yeah.
So this really was a lesson for me. Then I started talking to people. I say, what if we put infrastructures in the camp and then children can study like any other child?
Wow.
First of all, you waive the school fees, and then they stay in the same place. And if there's any problem like COVID, they can still learn. So that's a project that we have, and I
started.
We haven't started yet, but we're working on it.
That's a very powerful one. I think it's a life changer.
Yeah, it's a life changer.
Absolutely, because then you are able to take so many in, and they're able to learn, and without really having the stops and challenges that the normal system of Uganda's education, does have.
Okay,
And
So, and then the other programs, we do economic empowerment for women and youth, and also psychosocial support to victims of sexual violence.
That's very important.
Thank
so
you.
How is the situation? Sexual violence is happening in the camps or from past experiences?
For now, what I have been focusing on, it's what happened in the past experiences.
Oh, yes.
We actually produced a report recently. We did an assessment on conflict-related sexual violence.
Right.
Conflict-related sexual violence is the Security Council adopted a resolution which makes it a standalone crime.
Of a weapon, war crime.
It's an international crime, which means that it can be prosecuted anywhere.
Right.
So we did a survey on conflict-related sexual violence to show what these women actually and men went through before fleeing, and
the countries.
And also to see what is the response in the camp. Have they been supported? What are the referral pathways? And unfortunately, we realized that they still live with the wounds. They've been there now since almost 7 years. Without receiving any post-treatment. Just few, like I said, paracetamol, that's what they say. So it's really a huge challenge. And so we did that report to use it as an advocacy tool so that we can have engagement by different stakeholders.
I believe you have cases of fistula that may have resulted from that. I think there could be a possible way, they can be supported right here in Uganda. So if there are such women who need that kind of help to be supported with fistula repairs here and there, that may be possible. But that's a great work.
Thank you.
Wow. Post trauma,
trauma.
It's very, very critical area to intervene for a woman. I had another guest here. We were talking about the experience of women during conflict, and we said some of that it is almost impossible for such a person to recover and become normal again.
It is hard.
It
is really, really hard. And I can see it. But what I realized, if with the right support, they recover. There's a woman I worked with, and she actually had fistula. She got treatment. For it. She got support from NGOs. I think it's Refugee Law Project that supported her to get a surgery. So she managed to heal that, but still, she was still living with now emotional wounds and also physical, because she was really injured. So we did a documentary. We interviewed a few women, including her. So out of that, we got support for her. So she got some psychological counseling. She got physiotherapy, and she was really broken, like completely broken. I was like, I really don't know how she will heal from this. But then she healed. She has healed, and she set up an association in the camp.
Wow.
She set
to
up
help other women.
To help other women. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hope that there are some things they are producing, products in terms of that economic thing that you're doing.
Exactly. So we supported them. We gave them a small capital. So now they started a poultry project, and which is progressing. And I know, what they call HPSS, mental health and psychosocial support.
Okay.
They go together because you cannot, a person is an individual is whole,
As a whole.
It's a whole.
Complete,
you have to take an individual
body, soul, and mind.
You have to feed them. You have to treat them the physical injuries, and then you have to give them something to live on. Because otherwise they will stay stressed.
You cannot treat the body only and leave out the spirit, the soul, and the mind.
And also, if we don't give them an income, they relapse. So that's why we do some workshops with them, and then we advise them how to run small businesses. So like last July we had the workshop on mental health and see how they are doing. And then we advise them about, running a business. Then we gave them a small capital.
Wow.
And I can see the change. They write to me, they say, it feels so good at least to leave home and go to do something. Yeah.
For an adult, especially.
For an adult.
Yeah.
And also to know that there's a future.
Somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere.
There's hope.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. What we can only say that God should bless you and other people who work and, try to support other human beings live a better life. For the life of a refugee, I mean, I cannot know and I cannot even imagine what they go through to be able to thrive every other day. I'm sure the works that you are doing there could be some areas that you can point out and say, this is an area that government can improve, the government of Uganda, who is a host, and also the international community. Because I'm just trying to, ask you to make some recommendations where necessary.
For example, in that survey, we realized that social workers are not trained to deal with people with sexual violence issues, mental health, and trauma. Sometimes they come out rude and judgmental, and women fail to open up. This came a lot from our interviews. So there should be a training towards
mainstreaming those issues in the training. It's very important.
Social workers.
Yeah.
And the other thing is health infrastructure.
It has to be improved.
It has to be improved and make available medication that they need and also specialists. I know Uganda as a government only cannot do it, but I know they have partners who can support.
Mental health is a big issue right now.
It's a big issue. A big issue. And obviously education, because we are in a region which is really boiling, and it's been on and on for a long time, the Great Lakes region and the East Africa. And if I take the example of my country, Burundi, the crisis that we are going through now, and even since, many years actually, it's out of frustration of the leaders. We got leaders who had wounds, who were
wounded as well,
who were rebels, who came to power from the bush with no prior preparation, healing. And then they came
to lead a broken people as well.
To revenge,
Ha!
Yeah, revenge. And then because they had those wounds which had never been
treated to settle.
So now we have refugees who are now going through the same. Who are now going through the same. The young people are not going to school. If they are not going to school, what are they going to do? They are going to go in rebel groups.
Again.
So
it'll be a circle.
Yeah, a circle. So what we need to educate them. They need education. They need to,
heal.
To heal, to feel, to be seen, to be loved.
Wow.
That's what you need to do. So, and I think that goes through education, not only education in classrooms, but also education in, conflict resolution, living together, peaceful living together.
Wow. Yeah. When you talk about conflict, of course, many Ugandans resonate with it, although we've been in a little bit of peace for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
But I think the history of Uganda generally is rotating around conflict. So most of the parts of the country have experienced conflict in various ways. So we really understand what your people are going through. And of course, we only pray that we can resolve these conflicts in a better way. And of course, now talking about the East African Federation community, is there a hope? Is there a hope in terms of resolving this conflict? Does it offer an alternative in your view? Or what do you think about this community of East Africa in terms of the future of the people?
There is hope if there was political will. The political way there is hope.
Okay.
Because, for example, there is the African Union created the standby force, and that this is in every economic region. We have the East African standby force.
Oh, standby force, right?
Standby force.
Ah, yes, I get it.
These are people who are trained, including police, militaries, and civilians, to intervene in any conflict situation,
in the situation in the region.
So you still have the tools, and you have now the text. We have the text, the East African protocols and pacts, and which can really help. But we Burundians were disappointed. For example, in the East African community failed to solve Burundian issue conflict in 2015, and it was possible. They failed, and now recently, the East African Court of Justice issued a ruling that the third mandate was illegal. Only I think it was 2021. Of 6 years after people have died,
yes,
people have killed each other. People are now dying in refugee camps. 6 years after 6 years.
But I could say the Burundian people are resilient people. Compared, I don't want to go into politics deep proper, but I could see that they are hardened. They probably know what they want in life, and they will fight for it. They will go for it. That's my perception. And I don't want to go into detail of that, but I want to just commend you and hope that you can go back to the country and also take on other political roles. Do you have any hope? What is the future like for Chantal beyond refugees?
I really don't see myself.
You can make a good politician.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think so.
Well, never say no, but I don't see myself as a politician. But for me, what I want is to build future generations.
Future generations.
My passion and my goal is to empower young people who can now change the country, the world, the Africa, and women. I want to invest more in women and young people.
Yes.
And then I can influence politics in that way. In that way.
Okay. It's interesting how women want to run away from politics, and you know that Burundi, what has caused all those problems is a political question. And that's why I keep pushing women into the political question. Yeah, because I know women can do a lot in terms of settling the political question in their countries.
I see what you mean, but it's not as easy. And I think if I speak for myself or for my country, you have to find the right time. If you go into politics at the wrong time, you break yourself, you break the career, you break the credibility and anything. I think like now it's not really
the right time
because there has to be an environment where your ideas can be implemented, where you're not going to follow one political party programs.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move away from there and safely go into other things.
Exactly. That's how safer. I don't want to be killed after this interview.
Well, no, you will not be killed. And of course, now I would like us just to think, broadly in terms of nurturing the future that you are, nurturing the young people. I just wanted you to pick out a few things that you can share, your lessons, your experiences in life, things that you feel can help another person, an important piece of advice or lesson or recommendation from the life that you have lived so far as a leader. Yeah, 1 or 2, 3 things.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, I think if you empower other people, you are empowering yourself.
Is that so?
It is.
It's a two-way.
It's a two-way. In fact, the tagline of our organization, Lightway, is called "They Rise, We Rise."
They rise, we rise. Wow.
They rise, we rise.
I love it.
It's the Ubuntu concept. the South African concept, which has been carried a lot by Desmond Tutu Mandela, which we have actually in our language.
Wow.
In Burundian language, we have that word Ubuntu.
Ubuntu.
Yeah. If you live by Ubuntu, which means I am because you are. I cannot exist if
without
you do not exist. If you are not happy, I cannot be happy. If my neighbor is not happy, I cannot be happy. So we have to understand that we cannot rise together. Otherwise, there'll be someone pulling you down.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so powerful.
Yeah. And maybe the other thing is I'm really passionate about the education because I feel like no child should miss school because of lack of means.
No child should miss school.
Yeah, and I feel like there's enough for everyone
in this world.
There's enough for everyone if we just stop being individualistic and egoistic and look into the whole spectrum, big picture of things. We can help each other. And also the other thing is, I think it's Gandhi who said that the success of any society is measured by the way they take care of the
marginalized,
the weak people of the society, the marginalized.
Yes, I love that. Yeah.
So this is something we always have to keep in mind, and especially leaders. If we don't really take care of the weak people, then we have failed.
We have failed. Absolutely. Those are very, very powerful words.
And maybe one last thing is we said in the beginning that I had an international career that I left, and it hasn't been easy, I must say. It hasn't been easy. But one thing I realized is you always make it. You always manage to live. You always manage to live.
It's never easy.
It's never easy, but you always manage to live. People ask me, how do you live? I say, as long as you follow your passion and you do the right thing, you live.
If you're walking in your path of life, your journey.
I'm not saying that it's easy, but you live and you live happily.
Supposing I was walking on another person's journey, would it be any different? So you are saying it's simpler when you're walking your path. Your challenges are yours. Your problems are yours. You'll meet those which are in size or equal to your life.
Because if we walk in someone else's path, we'd be always complaining. He did not do this and that. Why?
Okay.
It's not working because of this person, But if you your path, you're the only one to blame.
Whatever comes your way is meant for you.
It's meant for you.
And you'll be able to manage in resolving
it. Yeah.
Wow, Chantal, you've been a blessing, a great blessing to me today. I have learned so much from you, and I'm greatly humbled that there's human beings like yourselves. And I wish as many as possible could live the life that you're living. I mean, a life of change, a life of impact, a life of Ubuntu, helping other people. I think that is, for me, very, very fundamental. I'd like us to come to a close. And maybe since you are a Ugandan living in Uganda, there could be things that you want to tell Ugandans about their country, about the East African region. Now we have to talk more about the region because that's for the future that we are going to. Just one or two, and then we close at that. Yeah.
Well, the only thing I'll tell Uganda and Ugandans is that I love them. They are lovely people. I never had any problem because I am not a Ugandan.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a Ugandan, actually.
You are, and you look like us.
I'm just waiting for my passport.
A Ugandan passport. No, I don't know if that one you can get. Okay. Because then that one is for citizens only.
Why shouldn't I be a citizen?
Well, there's a process again to become one if you want to. I guess so.
Yeah, so and also to say thank you to Uganda for receiving so many refugees while other people are closing and complaining. So I think it's amazing.
So we are practicing the Ubuntu thing.
You're practicing Ubuntu, and I'm happy to be living here in a country which hosts everyone with no distinction of color, of origin. Yeah.
That's a good one. And of course, just to encourage Ugandans that you have a beautiful country, which foreigners who come here are very proud to be associated with, and we need to love home, to love Uganda more.
Absolutely.
And give more to it in terms of building it. Despite the challenges we have, it is a beautiful place, and I would love to emphasize that and to thank you, Chantal, for coming today. It's been a wonderful moment that we've shared and exchanged with you. I hope that you can take me to Nachi Valley.
I will.
To experience
and to Burundi
encourage
and
those
to
women.
Burundi too.
Burundi, I haven't been to Burundi.
I will take you to Burundi too.
It's amazing and strange that I have not been to Burundi and Rwanda in the region. For some reason, somehow, whenever I intend to travel, it doesn't work out. But soon, hopefully.
Soon.
All right, so we have got to sign out from here. I hope you have picked one or two things from Chantal's journey, a life of impact, international work, refugee work, also her lessons, her, nuggets of wisdom on how to live a better life, because it comes from rising with other people. And I think that has been the icing on the cake. And I want to thank you for being here with us up to this time. Shalom.